All right, y'all. We ready? You ready? All right. Start the countdown. What's going on, everybody? It is I, the homie, the one and only Ashton Reynolds, and I welcome you to season 2 of the Be the Change podcast, where I sit and converse with individuals who have taken the initiative to make change by being the change themselves. And you know, they changed their own lives and have impacted other lives that was attached to their purpose. As you can see, my LLC, Blessed Coast, is above me. Blessed Coast, where is that? It's in the presence of the Lord. So you know the blessed side be the best side. Straight up, people, you are in for a treat. This episode, I am conversing with a legend, people. I'm talking about a living legend, and I've got to say this now to go ahead and give him his roses before we get this interview started. I'm talking about this brother here is a visionary. He is the one who has helped impact and enhance the careers of many entertainers that you see today that are on in the film industry, such as Martin Lawrence. You know the names like Chris Tucker, Bernie Mac. You know what I'm saying? Those are just a few names, as he is a co-creator of the Def Comedy Jam. Also, he is the executive producer and Laff Mobb. Got a new show on there called Laff Tracks, Laff Mobb's Laff Tracks. So, people, that's just a little bit of his credentials because I'm about to bring him in right now. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the incredible Bob Sumner. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, what's going on? What's going on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here we are, finally, right?
I know, right?
It's all
finally.
good, Ashton. That's
yes,
what's
sir.
up.
Yes, sir. You know, you're such a cool guy.
But they told me that I was going to be interviewed by Ashton. I automatically thought they meant Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, man.
You're Ashton Reynolds. What's up with that, man?
Hey.
They told me that, you know, but it's all good. It's all good.
Sir.
Hey,
yes,
Black lives matter.
Exactly.
I feel real good.
Exactly. Hey, I feel good too. Thank you so much for joining me today on this podcast. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. I always ask all of my guests this question so they can answer this question here in the fullest capacity possible. Despite all the accolades, despite all of the work that you have done, who is Bob Sumner in your own words?
You know, it's real interesting that you would even say, who is Bob Sumner? Because for the past 4 years, we've been trying to figure that out. The reason I say that is a great friend of mine, Jeff Billingsley, has taken the reins to produce a documentary based on me.
Oh, wow.
And the working title right now is The Birth of Death, DEF. Who is Bob Sumner?
Wow.
You know, and Jeff Friday, who's the executive producer and founder of the American Black Film Festival, ABFF, we're actually getting ready to kick off the ABFF Comedy Festival. You know, we get ready to take a whole nother page as we get into this restart. And Jeff, years ago, Jeff said, Bob, we need to really figure something out in terms of people need to know who is Bob Sumner, you know, and it's crazy because Bob Sumner is somebody that is all about love. You know, at the end of the day, I'm all about love. That's how I was raised. My godfather said years ago, Bobby, you could walk with kings and queens, but don't you ever lose the common touch. You know what I'm saying? And my second grade teacher, who was a Black woman in 1968, when Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy was assassinated, she instilled in me what being a leader, Edith Maynard was her name. She instilled in me what being a leader was all about, and I have led ever since. So Bob Sumner is a loving leader. That's who I am. You know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
in terms of the accolades and everything, you know, there's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And I'm really just a soldier in his army. You know, I had a situation happen to me back in '05 that, you know, I used to always hear about God. You know, I knew who he was, but I didn't really grasp who he is. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
had a situation that led me to where I really needed him to be there for me. And he's been there with me. He was there with me before, but now I have really accepted my Lord and Savior to a point where every morning and every night I'm feeling good. 6:15 in the morning, I'm listening to a great friend of mine. His name is Overseer Ernest Vaughn, and he does a prayer service every morning. I've been on it for the past 4 years since he started, and I'm smiling. And when I look at the pandemic and what it has done to everybody, I know that there's a better day. I know that there's a better day ahead, and I know in the business of comedy it will be, because I'm gonna be honest with you, with comedy we needed a reset. This is the only reason you and I are connecting, is because of the reset. You dig?
Right.
So, you know, again, Bob Sumner is somebody that I'm a connector. As of last night, I done connected a situation with Atlanta. You heard me?
Yes, sir.
One of my best friends moved down there from Jersey and opened up a sports bar, and he's getting ready to do some comedy down there. He wanted to do some comedy, and he called me last night and said, "Bob, I'm at this place, and there's a guy on stage right now named Marcus Combs. Do you know him?" I
I've
said,
heard of his name.
I said, "Do I know him?" I said, "When he get off the stage, put him on the phone, because that's who's going to be your host. We get ready to get busy." You know, so that's what I'm saying. This is what we do, you know, and this is who I am. So, you know, we'll continue, and you'll see who I am as we continue this conversation, I'm sure. But the one thing I can say to you, which made me real comfortable with you, Ashton, is that you said converse and not conversate. See, I see already that you have some education behind you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, seriously, it's the little things that go a long way.
Yes, sir.
So let's converse, bro. Let's do this.
Yes, sir. And first of all, before we even go to the next topic, I just gotta say, wow. I'm just so thankful to the Heavenly Father that he revealed himself to you in the way that he did, so you can understand fully of how magnificent he is as you continue to be that loving leader, because it takes a special person to be a loving leader, somebody who leads with love at his foundation to make sure that everybody around you is succeeding in their fullest capacity possible. Because I know for a fact that being a loving leader, you know, you can lead, but you know, once you lead them to the opportunity, it is up to them to take that opportunity. But because of the fact that you love them, you presented that opportunity to them. And for that, sir, I say thank you for answering that calling on your life.
Yeah, man, because I look at it as being, I'm more of a captain. You know what I mean? I'm the captain of the team. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be the boss. You know, the boss is looked at a little different than the captain.
Yes,
You
sir.
know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I'm into sports heavily. So that's what's happening. You know, I don't have to own the team. I don't have to own the team, but I want to win some chips. You dig?
Oh, yeah. So since you into sports heavily, how you liking the Nets? I know they moved from your home state of New Jersey to Brooklyn, and they balling out.
I mean, again, when it comes to sports, I'm universally sound. Okay. So I like the games more than, like, I have my teams, and I'm a diehard with my team. Like, my favorite team in football is still the squad that I had in electric football when I was a kid. Electric football, okay? So I mean, hey, it is what it is. So you know, I'm a Raider fan. I'm a Raider fan. Whether it's Oakland, LA, Vegas, I'm all about that silver and black. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So when it comes to, you know, basketball, I'm kind of like, you know, it was cool that the Nets were here in Jersey and what have you, but I was a big Julius Erving fan when he was back in Long Island in the ABA. Okay. So the Nets were cool like that. And then they like, you know, when they, you know, traded or whatever they did, they sold Julius Erving to the NBA. You know what I mean? You had to he changed the game, you know.
Right.
But at that same time, you know, I was just loving the game, and the Knicks have always been, you know, the Knicks have always been with me from, you know, them early days when Clyde and Earl, you know, even before Earl came over there. But I'm really, at the end of the day, since 1979, since this man from Michigan State got drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers, I've been rolling with the Los Angeles Lakers proudly since 1979. Okay.
Oh man.
So back to the Nets. I'm loving being able to watch them every night. We suffered having to watch the Nets. You know how like you have to watch your home team? Like back in the day, my uncle used to be a big Braves fan. He's from Little Mountain, South Carolina. The Braves was his squad. But all they had was Hank Aaron and Dusty Baker. You know what I mean? They had, you know, they wasn't really winning the chips until, you know, later on. So it was kind of rough watching the Braves, and they really wasn't winning. You know what I mean? And then
I know exactly what you mean.
Year. Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, look, Falcons. I mean,
oh yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I understand that. I
have to ask you about this though, being a Falcons fan, right? You're a Falcons fan, right?
I'm a Falcon respecter.
Well, you born in Grady Hospital. You better be a Falcons fan.
Okay. Right. I'm a Falcon respecter.
So, but didn't you know that y'all was all prepared to go? It was Sunday. Y'all was getting ready to go turn up. Magic City was getting ready to be lit.
Yes.
And all y'all needed was one quarter to solidify this thing. How did you feel? I'm gonna interview you.
Okay. Hey, he took me to change for literally, like he changed it up on me. So okay. Well, I had a radio show that day actually. And I told people, I remember this like it was yesterday. I said the final score will be 35-28 New England, because I just felt in my spirit that Atlanta was just going to drop the ball. Lo and behold, yes. I had went against my family. I went against everybody. It was like, oh, you mean to tell me that you ain't going to go for Atlanta? I am telling you.
Did the quarterback have anything to do with it? The quarterback on the Patriots? Is that why you was feeling like that?
No, it wasn't. I just had a feeling that Atlanta was not going to hold up. And I know you see the red, white, and black behind me. It looked falconed out up in here. But no, I was like 35-28. And so when I was at the house, I was like, oh my gosh, it's 28-3. Phone blowing up. Oh man, you might want to take your radio show down now. You might want to redo it. I was telling everybody, relax. There's 4 quarters in a game.
Oh, so you have this recorded?
Yes, I recorded it.
I was like, I want to hear that. Send me that link.
I definitely will. Look, I will send you that link. I will send you that link.
All right, so sports. So sports is my thing. And the Nets, man, they are a pleasure to watch. And KD's not even playing right now.
Exactly.
That's the crazy part. And the way Kyrie said to Harden, yo, you the point guard, I'll be the 2. Yeah. That's so dope, man.
Yeah.
And then they got this cat named Bruce Brown. You know how like you have that dude that used to be on the court balling with y'all and he just get the job done?
Exactly.
Bruce Brown is giving them that, man.
Exactly.
And they done, DeAndre Jordan and got rejuvenated.
Now they got Blake.
he looking like well, we don't even, Blake is a work in progress because I'm good with Jeff Green. You did?
True enough.
You know,
Okay.
so again, it's cool watching them, you know, what they're doing. But at this point, I think, and this is the other thing, people, I'm into hoop. Like I'm into sports, but like when I look at hoop, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Milwaukee Bucks right now. Okay. The Milwaukee Bucks are close, but they're missing something. All right?
Oh yeah.
I think I know what the Bucks are missing. They are missing the player who need a team like the Bucks if he's gonna get a chip at any time. All right. But the only thing is he's going to have to change his game just a little bit to make this thing work. And the reason I say that, and I'm going to use the Milwaukee Bucks again as the example. Back in the early days, there was a guy who was a triple-double machine. His name was Oscar Robertson. The Big O, they called him, right?
Right.
And he could never, always the all-star team, but could never get past, whether it was, you know, I think they played the same conference as the Lakers. So it was always the Lakers and the Celtics out of the East. But Oscar Robertson had to figure it out. Know what happened? The Milwaukee Bucks drafted a guy out of UCLA named Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he changed his name to, right?
Yes, sir.
Soon as he came to the Bucks, their record flip-flopped. Didn't win. The Knicks won the chip this year, but they didn't win, but you could see that they were on their way and they needed a missing ingredient. And that was Oscar Robertson, right? He came to the Bucks and paired with a bunch of role players and a star, just like they have a star now with the Greek Freak,
right?
But in a bunch of role players, Oscar Robertson just brought his knowledge of the game over there, and they won a chip. And I honestly feel that that's what Westbrook need to do. Westbrook need to try that out because it ain't going to happen with the Wizards.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. But he has an opportunity if they find a way to get him over there and run that floor, because Drew Holiday is a beast.
Yes, he is. Yes,
and you
he
already know that that other kid could shoot the rock. Middleton could shoot the rock. Just runs the floor all game. And my man from Seton Hall just came over there on a sneak tip. I'm trying to tell you, he about to pull a John Starks.
Okay.
Miles Powell.
Yes, sir.
Miles Powell just got a contract. And watch what happened. Now, remember I said this, just like you said the Falcons and the Patriots. Yeah. Watch Miles Powell in the NBA. He's going to flip it.
I'm going to hold you to that.
All right, hold me to it.
I definitely will. See, I want you to realize exactly what you did. You really put to work the characteristics of a loving leader, meaning that as a historian, you took the knowledge, the previous knowledge that has already been presented beforehand, to use that as evidence that your idea will work. And with that being said, is that the type of mindset that you always had as you ventured into the world of comedy?
Always, because my life started with music. I was always about music, but comedy was always a backdrop. All right. Because I'm talking about as a toddler, you know, I'm curator of comedy at the world famous Apollo Theater. Right.
Oh, yeah.
But that's where my career started as a 4 or 5-year-old, bruh.
Wow.
Yeah. My parents used to always frequent the Apollo because my uncle used to sing over there in the 50s. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was in a group called the Platters.
Wow.
Right? And he was the lead singer, actually. And, you know, my parents fell in love with the Apollo. Even after my uncle and them started flying all over the world and stuff, my parents would still go over there for the amateur night on Wednesday or the matinee on Sunday. And then we would stop. I have a bunch of relatives in Harlem. So it was like, you know, that movie Soul Food?
Yeah.
You know, the show, it was like, that's how I grew up living, like I was part of that whole type of, you know, environment. And at the Apollo, they always had comedians. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I saw Moms Mabley as a kid. You know,
Wow.
I saw Pigmeat Markham, young Richard Pryor. I saw Slappy White and Nipsey Russell. Okay,
Wow.
so you know the Godfrey Cambridge, George Kirby, like these are like legends in comedy. And it was always in me, along with, you know, I would see the Motown Review or the James Brown Review. You know, I saw David Ruffin 5, 6 times. You dig?
Mm.
So that was my life. And my mom worked at RCA Records in the royalty department. So, you know, when you just looked at One Night in Miami, and Sam Cooke was featured in the film, and they was talking about royalties and things of that nature. Well, Sam Cooke was signed to RCA Records, and my mom used to do the royalties for like Mr. Cook, Elvis Presley, all that. And my mom would always bring records home and things like that for me and my brothers. So I was always around music. And then my brothers, they were musicians. They had a singing group and stuff. But I was the guy that was paying attention to what was going on the other side. You
Mm.
know, I became a DJ instead of the musician. I started playing the records. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I started having the parties for a quarter in my living room. You know, mom would make some potato salad and some chicken wings. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. I had a little garage in my backyard. We called it "Tear the Roof Off the Sucker." Okay,
Mm.
because we were into, you know, Parliament Funkadelic was like was what was going on.
Oh
And
yeah.
so the nickname for the garage was called the Sucker. And we would like listen to all music out there. That was like, if we wasn't on the basketball court or the baseball diamond or football field, you could find us in the Sucker and not on the corner. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? It
that's
was
what's
it was
up.
it was it was pretty, it was a pretty dope. That's who Bob Sumner is. You know what I
Mm.
mean? My crew came and they hung out with me. You know, I had my parents were they separated and divorced like when I was like 9, you know, 9, but they still were cool. You know what I mean? My
Mhm.
father never left my life. My father was actually the truant officer at my high school. Imagine that. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Yeah. But so it was like my mom went to New York every day. My dad was in the afternoon. He was like a barber. He owned a barber shop for years called Hollywood, where
Mhm.
I was basically raised as a I was 4 years old. My father took me out of preschool and put me in the back of the barber shop. And I was reading the newspapers at 4 or 5 years old, fam. Word is bond, because it was a community environment. So all of the OGs who would be coming in from the bar down the street or whatever, getting ready to go on their, you know, jump on the bus. They were bus drivers. They would all come in and hang out with me and school me, you know.
Mm.
It's crazy how I come up. I come up a little different than most. I really did. I really did. And I
Oh man.
appreciate it. I grew up in a barber shop next to a bar in one town. And then the other town where I actually lived, my grandfather ran a laundromat next to a bar. So
Mm.
the barber shop and the laundromat is like the community center.
Right. Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And then the
Yeah.
bar, come on now, that's the turn up. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
yeah, we could go all day. It's gonna all be in my documentary. All of this is gonna be in my doc. Mhm.
Hey, I can't wait for it too. And I can really tell that you were very appreciative of your childhood, because with all of that, being around all of those influences, and you can already see exactly what it is that you was going to be doing in the future, as far as like being connected to the music and things like that. Am
Well,
I right?
uh, right and wrong.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I, I was torn. I was
Mm.
torn in between that, and I went to Seton Hall University. And when
Yes.
I went to Seton Hall, I went in there thinking I was going to be an elementary school teacher
Oh
or
wow.
early childhood teacher. It's crazy how I dropped out of daycare, but ended up wanting to be an early childhood teacher. And but I saw where they had a great communication department, a
Mhm.
great African American studies department, as well as their education department. But I saw that I could be a teacher without being a teacher. All right. All
Right.
right. And
Yes,
it
sir.
really all came to fruition when I graduated from Seton Hall. I ended up going back to my old high school
Yes, sir.
as a substitute teacher.
Mm.
But I was there every day doing what I had to do while I was trying to get what my career was going to be, hopefully in entertainment. I was doing that at night. But even while I was at the school, I was helping coaching the basketball team. I
Mm.
was almost like a class advisor because I was setting up things like the senior class fashion show. I started a thing with this teacher, Miss Bolton. We started a thing called the homecoming pageant. We actually had a homecoming for the freshmen through 12th grade. And I played the role of like the Steve Harvey. But I did get the winner right.
Okay, then. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's always been my thing, man. Even in my community, after I, started doing well with Def Jam and everything, right on that same corner where my grandfather's laundromat was, I had a big cookout for the
Mm.
community, free cookout. I do a holiday for Christmas. We do a free concert, with nationally known acts coming up to the high school auditorium. And I do that in memory of one of my classmates who was a former councilman in town. So,
Mm.
that's where my heart is. I'm all about unity in the community. When John Lewis talked about getting in good trouble, I
Right,
love
right.
good trouble. I love good trouble. I'm all about good trouble. You
That's what I'm
heard me?
talking about. That's what I'm
Yep.
talking about. I stand
Yep.
in agreement with you on that. But see,
Yep.
we're gonna get into Def Comedy Jam. We're gonna get into Def Jam and all of that. But
Let's go.
I want to stay at Seton Hall right quick because I have found out that you hosted a radio show called Mellow Madness.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Could you tell us about that?
Well, I could show you more than I could tell you because every Sunday at 3 p.m. I've decided to utilize this same setup that we're on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I bring back the vibe of Mellow Madness,
Oh wow.
which we call it grooving on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm.
And what I do is I just play jams. I like to play a lot of B-side cuts,
Mm-hmm.
and then I like to play a lot of alternative music. I might go from Chicago and Steely Dan to Gil Scott Heron or Blue Magic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I get into. But it's funny because Seton Hall and being on the radio and being involved in the industry like that got me to be in Def Comedy Jam and Def Jam Records. Everything led. But you have to get out there and you have to push for it. You have to go for it. It just doesn't happen. I was watching. My friend Reggie Hudlin did a great documentary on Netflix with called The Black Godfather, and
Mm-hmm.
it's about Clarence Avant, and
Mm-hmm.
it was so educational for me because I learned something in that documentary that I had no idea, that he had come from the South to Summit, New Jersey, which is like 10 minutes from where I reside.
Mm.
Okay. And he took a job. He was grinding, and he took a job with a man. And if you watch it, he took a job in 1959 with a man by the name of Teddy Powell. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In 1980, 81, around that time when I was on the radio at WSOU at Seton Hall,
Mm-hmm.
I decided that I was going to do some networking. And Teddy Powell was like he was like the Alan Heyman, like the big promoter guy in the tri-state area. And I told him that I have this radio show that I can like help, push what you're doing, as well as be like a street team for you and put up, posters and stuff. And I was like Mr. Powell's guy for all, and I'm like saying to myself, what a connect that we both were blessed by having Teddy Powell in our lives. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And then there's a few other, this guy Chuck Brownlee, Bill Franklin, John Blassingame, Billy Press. Like, I know who was there. The Jeffrey twins. These guys was all there for me as I was Greg Smith. These guys was all there while I was, trying to come up. But it was all about, I wasn't asking for no money, but I wanted to sit there and be a PA, a personal assistant for Dizzy Gillespie. I actually had the pleasure to work with Mr. Gillespie on a show. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, the whole thing about, what's going on with my career now, there was definitely a beginning, and I'm right now, I'm like probably in the third quarter.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
in the third quarter. I'm definitely all that, what you saw in Def Jam 25 and all that. I'm sitting there going, wait till they get a load of what I got next, and then boom, here comes Laff Mobb. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It is what it is. So here we are.
That's what I'm talking about right there. It's real admirable to see the fact that you still have that drive to say, wait until you see the next thing. How are you able to keep that drive? Like, what is it? What intangible is it that is within you to keep that drive to say, okay, I can't wait to put this next thing out. I can't wait to do that. What makes you stay so innovative?
I feel no different than how Mr. Stern, what he did with the NBA. Seriously, I treat my whole situation no different than being involved in sports franchises. Even in my selection of comedians and everything, I do it just like it's a lottery. Just like people are spread all over the country, balance everything, and even like everybody's entitled to have a similar idea, right? But who's gonna do it the best? That's why, as we're looking at this reset with stand-up comedy, when I look at, and not to be tooting no horns, but everybody see it. Everybody knows my work from, I saw Shannon Sharp interviewing JB Smoove, and they were talking about the golden age of comedy being, the early 90s or what have you. Man, I got my foot all over that. You know what I'm saying? And I know how all of that happened. It happened with a formula that I still have, So when I look at everything now, I was like, you know what? Something needs to happen so people can appreciate what had been done. And know what happened? The damn pandemic shut everything down. Now it's all about being funny again, not your celebrity, unless you already had a Netflix, Showtime, or HBO special.
Right.
The funniest joke win for Bob Sumner right now, because when you tell me that you a star, half the time I help make you the star. You dig? So I know that it's that next person coming up that's every bit as funny as you, if not funnier. When I first put Bernie on, Bernie had already been in the game for 10, 15 years. But when you first saw him, it was like a fresh face that you never saw, where you take a Chris Tucker. Chris hadn't been in the game long, but I saw enough of him where he can showcase to a point where then he becomes Smokey on Friday. You know what I mean? This ain't no coincidence. Tiffany Haddish, when we rebooted Def Jam in 06 and 07, I put Tiffany on in 07. 07. Everybody was looking at me kind of like what are you doing? All I needed was her to get on that stage and showcase, so people can see, and she delivered. And 10 years later, she's the hottest. She just won a Grammy for a comedy album. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's just I just take chances. On the Def Jam 25, when it opened up, Chappelle was talking about, I passed on him like 3 times. It was just a joke. It was a joke. People would actually ask me, "Did you really pass on Chappelle 3 times?" No, I put Dave on. He was like 18 years old. Dave was like one of the youngest. Him and Aries Spears. These guys, I was dealing with them when they were still teens. You know, so this ain't nothing new about this, and that's why just like the Chicago Bulls and Charles Barkley and Pat Ewing and Akeem and them was like the toast of the town in the 90s. And now you see, LeBron's almost on the way out now. You know what I'm saying? But the league is still happening. And that's how I feel about stand-up. And that's why I feel like a 400-seater is now, no matter how you look at it, a 400-seater is 125 seats. All right. So my thing is, I need funny on that stage, not if you could pack the house, because I don't need the 400 no more. Not like that. I just need to have these people entertained because they're going to eat and drink, but it's not about, so-and-so from this movie or that movie. We're going back to the days of stand-up comedy. You dig? I want to see a sitcom. I want to see a sitcom built off of your stand-up act. That's what it was all about back in the day.
Wow. So we can add visionary to who is Bob Sumner as well. Is it safe to say that?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing, and with me, even with on the music tip, okay, all my shows, I try to incorporate live. I try to incorporate something on the music tip because that's where I come from, even to the point, and I'm if you wasn't going to ask this question, I'll say it right now in terms of being innovative. The reason Kid Capri was my DJ on Def Comedy Jam is because when I first started doing these comedy shows in 1985, I was DJing the comedians on and off the stage because, it used to always be the piano player or the cymbal and the snare drum in a comedy room. I brought some funk to that piece. You know what I'm saying? And, that whole thing evolved into now everybody got to have a damn DJ. Nobody had a DJ before they saw Kid Capri, So It's a beautiful thing. Innovative is what it is.
Straight up. Straight up. I'm all for it right here. And since we done, what's up?
You ever heard of Daniel Boone?
Yes.
Or Davy Crockett?
Yes, sir.
They were pioneers, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm a pioneer, son.
There you go. Oh, thank you for saying that. Pioneer.
I'm just messing. Mike Epps and Ebony. Mike Epps quoted that I was like Yoda or Mozart, Yeah. And I mean, this was Mike saying this. It's right there. It's written in black and white. And it's crazy because I just do what I do, man. I just do whatever I do, whether it's playing music or putting comedians on stage. I mean, back in the day, I sold the best weed. You know what I'm saying? I'm just playing. I couldn't resist that, man. I got my card now. I can say that.
Hey, there you go. Well, look, let me take a moment right here to just give you some more roses because honestly, pioneer, visionary, when I watched your interview on Comedy Hype, that's actually what sparked my interest into getting this interview right here. Really? Because of the simple fact that how your mind is and how it operates when it comes to creation and being creative and capturing the essence of certain things, like what it is to be funny, what it is to actually capitalize on a moment, and you are able to orchestrate a plan to make sure that moment is perfect for that time right there. I could truly identify with that because as I'm in the creative mode, as I'm doing the works that I'm doing, that same essence and feel that you see your works displaying, that's what I want to have articulated to the audiences. So I got to thank you for taking that step and doing it before me, so I can look at somebody and say, okay, he did it. Now, that same blueprint right there, Ashton, add your flavor to that blueprint, and boom, that originality will never die. So when people see certain platforms that resemble Def Comedy Jam, they're seeing a replica of the foundation that you already set. So I say thank you, sir. And I got to go ahead and give you flowers right now before we segue into Def Comedy Jam. So I had to go ahead and do that.
I appreciate that, man. It's funny that you would say, people trying to emulate or, hey, I'm a work for hire. I'll produce the show. I'll help produce your show. If you're trying to have the next Def Comedy Jam, why not call the Def Comedy Jam producer? You ain't got to call it Def Comedy Jam, but the show just has to be, because I'm a designer. I'm a producer that's like a creative designer, and it's like customizing. Even when I did the show on Aspire called We Got Next, it was clean comedy. You know what I mean? Because everybody that works blue can't necessarily work clean. You know what I mean? Right. And what I do is I just stay in my lane, and I believe in whatever it is I'm gonna do. Because like even with Def Comedy Jam, when we first started, we had to like go out on 42nd Street and pull people in to be our audience. Wow. You know what I mean? But if you keep, and then the next thing you know, we had the lines wrapped around the corner. When I first started doing comedy at this place in Newark, New Jersey called Terminal D, we were doing jazz and comedy. Jazz night was packed. Comedy might have had like 6, 7 people. Then as you keep building it, it is what it is. I left that place. I went to another place. I had to build it. Then from there, I had a place called the Peppermint that I was turning away 100, 200 people, turning them away every Thursday night. Man. Bill Bellamy was my host. Nobody knew who Bill was at first. Then I had Mike Epps as my host. Nobody knew who Mike was, but you have to stick with these guys and let them work on their craft while you're bringing in, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, what I do it for you guys. There's no retirement with me. Yesterday was Quincy Jones's birthday. Quincy Q is still doing the damn thing. That's how I want to do. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I look at Norman Lear. Norman Lear is still doing the damn thing. I built Laff Mobb based off of the model of Mr. Gordy and Motown. You know what I mean? You take these, you take the artists and you just try to make beautiful music.
You definitely orchestrating some beautiful music, sir. So since we are now here in the Def Jam segment, let's just talk about what it was like to have so many different personalities grace that platform and how you were able to, manage that. Like, the floor is yours to just talk about that. The floor is yours for that one.
Well, I came up with this plan. Like I always, everything's not always about putting everything on my phone. I keep a pad and pen near me. And that's how, the whole thing happens. That's how Laff Mobb happened, just being at night thinking. So one night, my mind was somewhere, and I have it written right here. It's funny that you would ask me this question because I have it written right here. And this is the whole essence of it all. I wrote, I've had the pleasure to play a very significant role in the creation of a groundbreaking stand-up comedy show that helped change lives and the color of comedy forever. Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
Change lives and the color of comedy. Because what I had noticed and what led me to, the birth of Def. Okay. All right. We done touched on who is Bob Sumner. Yes. Now we're going to talk about the birth of Def.
Yes.
The birth of Def actually happened on February. I have it right here. That says February the 8th, 1985. Wow. That was really the birth of Def. although my first pre-production of Def Comedy Jam started in Atlanta when I saw Bernie Mac in August of 91. All right.
Wow.
But from 85 to 91, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper. I mean, but really, when I look at it, and that's why I say the documentary is crazy, because in 1985, a childhood friend of mine was trying to be a stand-up comedian. And I'm like, what the heck? Now, I knew what stand-up was because, I had always been to the Apollo, this, that, and the other. And then again, after, Seton Hall, I started working, doing these little volunteering as a PA, doing these concerts, and they would have comedians and stuff. But never did I have a friend, like a personal childhood friend, who wanted to be a stand-up. So here I am trying to get into the business. And, I'm doing the DJ thing. And then my boy, Rocky Bryant, who's now on Broadway with the musical Tina, and he's the drummer now for the Average White Band. He and we was on this mission together, all right? And he came to Terminal D with me in 1987 or whenever that was based off of what I'm telling you now. My childhood friend wanted to be a stand-up comedian. So what he would do is he would go to New York to like Catch a Rising Star, Stand Up New York, the comic strip. And they would like just like they do at the Comedy Store in LA, you have like a potluck, you get online after the show, you might get on this, that, and the other. It's crazy. And then if you're a brother, the odds are really like what's going to happen, right?
Right.
So I decided that I was going to do a show and showcase him as like the host comedian, this, that, and the other. This led me and Rocky to going down to this place on the strength of somebody who used to listen to me on the radio, had some friends at this place in Newark who was looking to change their place from, it was kind of seedy, doing like the strip club type thing that really wouldn't work. They wanted to do something else. So we said, y'all ever thought about doing a comedy, jazz thing? Because Newark was known for jazz. And then Red Fox, Jackie Gleason, they all used to come over to Clinton Ave and shoot pool in Newark back in the day. So, comedy and music was happening. So that started that, and that's where I was DJing and this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? So that was the beginning of everything. Then I got this job at Def Jam Records. Okay. Now I'm at Def Jam Records, still doing this underground comedy thing back in Jersey, right? At the same time, Russell and Stan Lathan decide that they're gonna partner and do some comedy projects, some TV projects, so to speak. And the president of the company, Carmen Ashurst, knew that I was doing this comedy thing, right? So everything all kind of like intertwined, and they saw that, this Black comedy thing was happening. And I had already established a lot of relationships over so many years, so we were given a pilot of 2 shows, and I ended up shooting 104. And I went all over the country, like I said, and I treated it just like I was an NBA scout, which I probably would have been if I didn't jump into this form of music. Whatever I wanted to do, I was going to do it. You
exactly.
Did? Yeah.
So let me add determined. Because you wanted to see this thing, you wanted to see that plan go into full fruition. Am I right?
I wanted to take you from the outhouse to the penthouse.
There we go. So he wanted to see this thing all the way through. Yep. All the way through. Now, this is a question just for me. At the start, how did you know that Martin Lawrence was going to be the guy as the first host? What was it about him that you said, okay, this is a new show, something new, something fresh? And with him being the first host, I know that's a lot of pressure. What was it about him that you was like, okay, I can go forward with him and he can usher in this whole new wave?
Again, I have a way of being a custom designer. Okay. it, it, it's really based on what the project is. Mm-hmm. You tell me what you want to do, and I'm gonna make sure that it's done the way you're gonna be happy, and I'm gonna give you your money's worth. All right, and I ain't gonna charge you a lot neither, because I want you to bring me back. All right. So
I got you.
So what happened with that was as simple as this, because there's so many different stories to so many different things. I done heard so many different stories about where did I Ain't Scared of You mothers, when Bernie did I Ain't Scared of You, everybody has their own story. So here's the story, that I can only tell you in reference to the whole Martin thing.
Gotcha.
All right. We're about to do this new show. Mm-hmm. All right. We don't even know what the name of the show. I'm getting ready to give you I'm getting ready to drop some jewels on you real quick.
Hey, that's what it's all about. I'm ready for it.
All right. So we're about to do this new show. Mm-hmm. We don't know really what it's going to be called. We don't know who's going to host. We don't know if we're going to have an announcer, if we're going to have a DJ. I kind of have an idea who the first comedians are going to be based off of who I already know. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure, because this is a national television show, I want to make sure that every piece of the country is covered. All right. Even with this pilot, I want to make sure that we cover our bases. So I have to identify the main spots besides New York and LA for stand-up, which is simple. Chicago, DC, Atlanta. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to pinpoint who I know is going to make things happen. And that's basically how it was going to go down. Now, in terms of, we're bringing in a whole nother comedy, we've turned into how people call a cola Coke, even if it's not a Coke, you know, right? That's what, people be saying, Def Jam comics, Def Jam comedians. We never planned on that. That wasn't what it was about, because if you saw a Def Comedy Jam, we just gave comedians an opportunity to do their club act on TV because it was uncensored, but it wasn't always blue comedians. It just felt that way because you could do it like that. But with all that being said, we knew that the show was Def Jam, so it's going to be hip hop. It's going to be fresh, funky fresh, whatever you want to do. We're going to bring on dancers. We're going to bring on, we're going to have a DJ. We don't know who any of this going to be, but we're going to do it. So now I go around and I'm seeing what's going on. And I also know that out in Los Angeles, there's a hell of a MC at a place called the Comedy Act Theater. You may have remembered him from Do the Right Thing. All right. In House Party. His name is
Robin Harris.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Robin is who we're really considering, but at the same time, while, we're still in the early stages, the birth of Def, Robin passes away, right? So that is like, okay, what happens now? All right. Mm-hmm. In Living Color was hot. Remember the show In Living Color?
Yes.
So you had In Living Color and you had House Party. Those was like the hot things that was going on within Black comedy, right? Mm-hmm. Def Comedy Jam is in the kitchen still, right? So there's a tribute show, right? And on the bill is all of the In Living Color comedians, the Wayans and all that, and Paul Mooney, all of the comedians who I don't know if Mr. Cooper was on there at the time, but it was like that time of the year. Chris Rock, you didn't really know what I'm getting ready to do. You ain't know none of that, right?
Right.
So,
right.
But there was somebody who was on the show that I didn't know he was as funny as he was. But I know one thing. I know who's going to host Def Comedy Jam if he's interested. All right. So I'm just nobody even cares about me. They just know I do this comedy thing out in Jersey. I'm like the other guy at this time. Anybody else got their thing going on? That's a whole nother story. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I hit up Russell and Stan and like, yo, I think we got the dude, but at the same time, Russell and Stan ain't really know how powerful he was neither.
Mm-hmm.
They reached out to Eddie and Arsenio. Seal of approval. That's kind of how that thing went down. But little did we know that HBO was trying to figure out some projects for him anyway. So this was perfect. Because, this led to the sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he was such a pleasure to work with, man. The only thing is the second go round, he was trying to do the sitcom and us. So he was like really, he was tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it was showtime, he delivered. It was a monster. And he really defined what the show was. And then at the same time, they used to have a thing called the Budweiser Superfest. And performing at Madison Square Garden was LL Cool J. He had a new album called Mama Said Knock You Out.
Mm.
And he was there with Babyface. They co-headlined the Budweiser Superfest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So following the show, everybody from Def Jam, we all had our leather sleeve Def Jam jackets and stuff. Right? we all gonna go down because LL just beat the Garden up. We represent, right?
Okay then.
So right on the West Side Highway, we come in there, and the DJ is up there killing it, right? Mm-hmm. Next thing I know, the DJ's on the mic doing his thing. Right. Mm-hmm. Now, I had already knew about Kid's mixtapes, but I had never really seen Kid like live like that. The last time I met Kid, he was with KRS-One. They had come out to Jersey for a show, whatever. And Kid was a cool dude. But then I said, damn, this dude is beating this thing up. And we was trying to figure out who was not just going to be a DJ, but we also was going to need an announcer too. Mm-hmm. This dude could do both. All right.
Yes, sir.
And that was the birth of Kid Capri and Martin Lawrence. All right. So we already had that part, but we still didn't know what the name of the show was going to be, nor did I know who was going to represent the show outside of everybody who I knew. And then I was going down representing the record company down at a thing called Jack the Rapper they used to have in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And Adele Givens had told me, because she had come to Jersey and New York on the strength of these comedians, Arsenal and Mitchell. They was a duo who had done Def Comedy Jam, and they used to do all of the rooms in Jersey and New York. And Adele came and she ripped my spot. And I asked her, is there anybody in Chicago that could set up a showcase for me? And she said, my friend Bernie. So I called Bernie, and Bernie told me that he could hook me up, but he has to go to Atlanta first. And I'm like, yo, I'm going to Atlanta too, because I have to do this thing. He says he's going to be at this place called the Comedy Act Theater. They had one in Atlanta. Before Uptown, there was a Comedy Act Theater in LA and Atlanta. When I tell you Bernie, I called Bill Bellamy up. I said, Bill, I saw the funniest Joker I ever saw. And it was Bernie. And Bernie talks about it in his first book. And that was the beginning of the whole Def Comedy Jam ride. That was really how it all. And then I just mixed and matched and kept it going for however long it went. Then we stopped, but we kept touring. So I kept doing a contest with Budweiser and D. Ray Davis, Coca Brown, Todd Lynn, Kevin Hart, all these comedians. They would have been on Def Jam if we were still on during that time, but they were still like on my tour, you know? And I'm just so happy for what it's been able to do for so many people. And I'm still here, man. I'm still here. You know, I have my podcast and I'm ready to kick off real soon. And that's going to be incredible because I'm going to capture the essence of where everybody has gone, you know, with their successful careers. And then I'm going to also shine a spotlight on who I think is the rising stars. Because, you know, the same way I, you know, created Laff Mobb, which is the acronym is more of Bob's best, you know. And the reason I created that was because there was a comedian by the name of Rashid, Uncle Dope. I'm sure you saw the Rashid Thurman. He passed away. He did, when I produced Diddy Show and Def Jam, he killed it, you know, and he just made me feel like there is the next generation. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
I kind of like created Laff Mobb because of him, you know? So I'm determined to make this thing, you know, what you know, as close to what Def Comedy Jam, you know, that's the other thing. Like when people went, you know, they're talking about coming to America and how it's not like the first one and all that. Yo, listen, it don't have to be like the first one to still make a difference in people's lives. You know, as long as it ain't whack, and you know it ain't gonna be. It's not gonna be. They ain't gonna stand for it. So that's where I'm at. And again, when people wanna, you know, if somebody wanna do stand up, you know, if somebody is looking for somebody for a movie, all these people that's doing these independent movies, you know, all I need is the character breakdown. And I can send you somebody that probably will be the person you're looking for to play whatever role it is. That's what I do. This is the gift that I've been given. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Man, now that right there, just taking all that information in, like literally. First of all, I got to say thank you for creating a platform that got me so many whoopings because I quoted so many lines from the comedians out there, and it really showed me what I really wanted to do. Not getting a whooping, but I know for the fact that, you know, this is what I wanted to do: be someone who provides a platform for others. So in essence, being blessed to be a blessing to others. And that right there is inspirational. And that segues into Laff Mobb. And I know that you was already going into it even just a little bit more. And I also, you know, follow you on social media. I see how you also are aspiring the younger generation to follow their path in the comedy and things of that nature. So just tell us a little bit about that right there.
I mean, for me, Laff Mobb is nothing more than back to basics. You know, back to basics. That's why I say Laff Mobb is a movement. You know, Laff Mobb is nothing but me taking a page out of what I already know. And I just need people to understand that, you know, I'm not the dude that's looking for commissions. You know, I'm here to see you win. Because if you win, I win. You know what I mean? We win together. I'm not trying to be nobody's manager, you know, but if I do get you something and you want to slide me something, it's all good, you know, but I think that I'm more advantageous to helping everybody as opposed to a certain core group, you know. So again, Laff Mobb was something that I created for opportunities, which has worked for a lot of people. Maybe it hasn't worked fast enough for some, but I've set people up and to go into the right directions. You know, it's a lot of snakes in this business.
Mm.
And I've come to accept it and understand it a long, long time ago. So that's why I stay in my lane and I flow the way I flow. So take Laff Mobb, for instance, okay?
Mm.
I'm still working off of the Thanksgiving turkey. What does that mean?
Mm.
You know, a Thanksgiving turkey that you put in, you know, the night before or whatever the case may be. You
Right.
know, everybody have their different types of stuffing that they like to use, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, that beautiful turkey that sits on that table, that the only time you pull out the middle or put in the middle is on Thanksgiving. It's a big day, right?
Right.
So now that turkey was sitting there, and then that turkey basically got demolished, right?
Mm. Right.
However, everybody took all of what they thought was the good parts, but
Mm.
it's still pieces left that are good too. And what are
Right.
they good for? They're good for the turkey sandwich on wheat or white, right? They're good for the turkey casserole, right? They're
Right.
good for turkey salad, right? They're
Mhm.
good for the turkey hash, right? They're good for you done turkey sausage. You done did everything with that one turkey, right?
Mhm.
So that's the example that I'm giving for what I did with an idea. Here I go again with this idea. This is
Right.
what it was. I told my business partner, Arthur Spivak, and he became my partner when I realized that I needed to find somebody in Hollywood. Just like Russell found Rick Rubin, I
Mhm.
needed to find my Rick Rubin or whatever, right?
Right.
So I got turned on to this dude, Arthur Spivak, who I had already knew who he was because he had produced a show called Mad About You with Paul Reiser. Okay. So I knew that he knew the business, this, that, and the other, right?
Mhm.
So I said to Arthur, Arthur, this is what I'm doing, but I want you to, get down with me, right?
Mhm.
And I said, this is what we need to do initially. I see so many dope comedians, funny ass comedians, right?
Right. Right.
Who actually need their own hour specials or their half hour specials. I want to identify who I think are the top dozen, and let's find a theater and let's shoot them and package them and see what we can do with it, right?
Mm.
I did that. Showtime bought 4 of them, right?
Wow.
Hour specials. Roz G, Mark Vieira, Rudy Rush, and Red Grant, right?
Mm.
Hour specials. Then we had other joints, this, that, and the other.
Right.
So it's like that's a piece of the turkey. That's the first piece of that turkey, right?
Right.
So then some guys in my office, right? Some guys in my office, Jamal and Carlos, they hit me up because we had all this audio, right? So the audio, the jokes that actually told stories that you could actually see played out, like
Right.
in a story form, they decided that no different than you take a song and make a music video,
Mhm.
why not take the joke and reenact it like a comedy video? We did Red Grant with Tony Baker. Look it up. It's called Fruit Loops,
Yeah.
right? The first weekend, we got like 5-6 million views. It went up, and then we did one with Tiffany Haddish called Ho's Resume. You may have seen that. Like
Yeah.
it just kept going up and up. Next thing I know, they want to give us a TV deal.
Mm.
So that was all based off of that turkey, you know, and we're still, you know, creating situations. And the reason, again, that I did that like that, because comedians was taking gigs for $100. They do 10, 12 minutes. They rush in their set so they could go in the lobby and sell their DVD for more money than they were getting paid, you know, hustling the game. And then
Right.
when you get the DVD, it's nothing but stuff that either you saw them on or their boy was recorded it and it's shaking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, let me make you a real, you know, let me make you a real tape. You
Right.
know, so that's what that's all about for me. You know, it's all about just recreating the wheel. That's why we're getting ready to after the pandemic, I'll be doing a series called Laff Mobb Live. I was supposed to start it last March at the Philadelphia City Winery. And what I want to do is I want to identify little clubs and stuff around the country where I could spotlight the comedians from that city and also bring in like a headliner, you know, to go along with the DJ and this, that, and the other. Just make it and do it like on a dark night, whether it's a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, but, you know, some brand awareness. And then I also want to, you know, with what's going on with, you know, the colleges, I want to, you know, kick off some things for the HBCUs, as well as other schools who have their, you know, Black student unions and stuff. I want to do some Laff Mobb on campus college tours, you know, where I can, again, customize the comedians, because even, you know, you can't have the students watching your daddy perform. You know what I mean? They want to have somebody who they can relate to. And these guys are going to take the check because they're getting paid, but they can't relate. Their jokes don't even relate to the kids, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
that's what I want to be able to do that. And, you know, just keep everything. Again, we're on HBO Max right now with the first season of Laff Mobb's Laugh Tracks. I'm looking to, you know, the pandemic slowed me up from, now I have to find a network to shoot some new joints, but I know that's going to happen. And then I have the Apollo, you know, the Apollo Comedy Club. I'm going to head back in there once we get clearance. And what happens with that is I have a room down in Willingboro that I do with this brother named Jed Curtis. And that's where I like look at everybody for all my other projects, no different than how the Peppermint used to lead people over to Def Comedy Jam. And then my nephew Reggie and I, who Reggie's been working with me, he worked on Def Comedy Jam when he was 16. He'd been in the game that long, right?
Man.
And Reg and I, we do a thing called Jazz and Jokes that Michelle.
I saw that.
Yeah, we do Jazz and Jokes, and that's like a real grown and sexy type environment. So, you know, that's happening. And then, like I said, the ABFF Comedy Festival, you know, I'm like intertwined, man. I'm intertwined. This is what I do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I love this thing, man. I love it.
That's
I love to
up.
see people win. I'm feeling you, man. I like this. You did? I like it.
Hey, I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of the gems that you have been, you know, given during this interview right here, because basically you just said that you have the formula to create a successful platform, and you have the innovative ideas that go along with it. You're determined, and it inspires others. So it shows exactly who you said that you are in the aforementioned session of this interview, which is being a loving leader. Now, since we are coming to the conclusion of this episode right here, and you know, we could go on and on and on because, you know, you are a legend, sir. With all that you have said, with all that you have done, and with all that you will do, for those who are up and coming, such as myself, what are some key advice that you would like to leave with the listeners who aspire to do what it is you're doing?
Well, first of all, I think that, you know, anybody that's looking to be a stand-up or be whatever they're going to do it. Commit. don't, one thing when I see people, I'd be like, man, where you been? You still doing stand-up? Nah, man, I took off for a couple years and then I decided to get back. No, man, you have to be able to prioritize your time. Now, if this ain't for you, don't do it. All right. But if this is what you really want to do, you're just gonna have to carve out that time. And you're gonna have to carve it out 5 minutes at a time if you're trying to be a stand-up. I had before the pandemic, I was doing a thing called Comedy Night School, right? Comedy Night School, where it was built for that comedian that need a place to work on their set. All right, because you shouldn't always have to shine when you're in the comedy room. Because how you gonna know this works when it's time for you to do your big show? When all you do is that same set all the time, the way you do it. You want to be able to work on it and tweak things. So I had a room, and we'll continue to have it, where the comedian could use it as their practice field. Nobody's really expecting you to kill, although there'll be other comedians in the room that might help you punch your stuff up. Like, everybody do this thing seriously. Then it's the comedian who is just starting and they really need to work on their stuff 5 minutes at a time, because that's what a comedian need to do, and create a point of view and also be original. You know what I mean? Don't try to be like somebody else, because the best comedian is the comedian that could tell their story. Because I didn't live like you. Only you live like you. So give me what's funny at school. Give me what's funny on the job. Give me what's funny with the kids. Give me what's funny. Next thing you know, you got a sitcom. You know what I mean? The other thing is always try to have somebody come to your gig with you that can critique your set, to tell you what worked, what didn't, what you need to work on, what you need to get rid of. You know what I'm saying? So, those are a few of the things. Don't tell your friend about your audition. You go to your audition, okay? Because they'll mess around and get your gig, all right? So you need to really, really watch. It's nothing wrong with going into the comedy clubs and stuff, but it's cooler to be home writing. When everybody else going out to breakfast after the gig, go home and get some sleep and get ready for tomorrow. Also try to be, no matter what you're going to do with social media. Back in the Def Jam days, there wasn't no social media. So people wasn't able to, hey man, I hate to think about Bob Sumner in high school. I would have had my own radio show in high school if I had social media. I would have had a lot of different things. You know what I mean? So the thing, you have to take advantage of, what's here for you. And have faith in God, man, or whoever you serve, because if you believe, we believe. If you believe, we believe. I can't believe for you. You know what I'm saying? And I just say, stay committed, and every mic is your mic. You know what I mean? Even if you have to liven up the people at the wake. You know what I mean? Sometimes, ask for permission, but that happens. I've seen it happen, every mic, because you all you're going to do is get better. Just don't give up, but write, be original. And like I said, right now is the perfect time, because I'm treating all comedians like I ain't never seen them before. Word up. You heard?
Yes, sir. Man. Bob Sumner, ladies and gentlemen. How can people stay connected with you and stay updated on all of the things that you have going on currently?
I don't even know. Now let me start. I'm on Instagram. People be DMing me and all that. But I'm Bob.Sumner on Instagram. But I have a page, Bob Sumner Comedy. Again, I leave my page open for anybody that's trying to promote their stuff, anybody that's trying to because we're getting ready to start a Laff Mobb TV social media type page, where we're going to be giving comedians an opportunity to, if they're trying to be creative and they have some shorts or their stand up, we're just going to try to give people some love. Because when I look at, how, YouTube works, I look at Issa Rae. Issa started with Awkwardly Black Girl. You know what I mean? And it turned into Insecure, and now she's like the toast of the town.
Right.
So I just say that everybody just need to be active with what they're doing. But yeah, Bob Sumner's Comedy Spot is what it's called. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much it. I'm always down. If somebody wants everything gets better, I'll come. If somebody want to set up a showcase for me to come to their city, I'll be the headliner that weekend. Just pay for my flight and hotel. You ain't gotta pay me a talent fee. Just feed me a chicken wing. I don't need everybody potato salad, but no, that's all good.
Oh man. Mr. Sumner, it has truly been a pleasure. And just so you know, I'm going to be hitting you up as well, because there's some ideas that I already got in the works right now.
Well, info at Laff Mobb.
There you go.
INFO. I'm sorry for not saying this, but anything that anybody has that they think is funny, send it to info at laughmob.com. That's where all creative juices flow. Yes. Don't send it to me. Don't send it to my personal. Yes. Send it to my business. But
that's good.
I definitely want everybody to get behind this ABFF Comedy Fest. We're getting ready to do something really, really special. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And is that in person, like for the festival? Will people be able to purchase tickets to attend, or is it all
everything's going to be virtual right now. Okay. So just go to abff.com and you'll learn more about what's happening there.
All right.
I'm sorry. April 2nd. All right. Go to apollotheater.org, because I just shot a special over the Apollo called the Apollo Comedy Club, a look back at laughter. We just completed our first 5 years over there. And we're just doing, something real cool as we go into, some main stage shows and stuff. When we kicked off the Apollo back on October 1st, 2015, it was blowing my mind, because we inducted the first 3 non-musical performers into the Apollo Walk of Fame.
Wow.
And they were Red Fox, Richard Pryor, and they gave me the opportunity to present the late, great Jackie Moms Mabley. I was bugging. You hear me?
Wow.
I was like, this is the same. I was 5 years old watching her perform. Yeah. So again, God is good, man.
It came full circle, huh?
Full circle like that. You heard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has truly, truly been a pleasure and an honor to have you as the first guest of season 2 of the Be the Change podcast. Like I told everybody, I said, look, we going next level. And to have you here, the innovator himself, the creator of Def Comedy Jam, Laff Mobb's Laugh Tracks, the brains behind the product.
Hey, listen.
That's how you do it.
Question. Because I see this is a black thing on here. Can you see this shirt? You see this? Can you read that?
I kind of. What it say? I see 2021.
Right. It say get your mind right.
Yeah.
Get your mind right.
Yeah. Get your pockets right.
Get your pockets right. I said, my man Nassan Washington sent this to me. My boy Donald, I went to high school with, his little brother. I'm so proud of him, man. Hey. And he got this clothing line, So I said, I'm doing this broadcast, and he don't even know I was gonna wear it. But I just wanted to give him a shout out. You can see that. It's nice, right?
Yes, it does. Hey, drop his info. What's his info so people can shop?
I'll get the info to you. Right?
Okay. Because I'm definitely gonna spread that.
Nassan, Nasson. I have to look it up actually to send it to you.
All right.
But yeah, so that's what's happening, man.
Oh yeah, because that's what we all about here. We all about making sure that everybody get the proper recognition, because for you to just come up with something and create something, that's your baby. So
yeah, and when I saw this, it made me think of what my new hashtag is. Hashtag 21 is 91. Because I'm telling you, 1991 is when I kicked this thing off like full tilt. And I feel like it's getting ready to happen again, you
yeah,
know? And when I did Laff Mobb as a movement, that was a hashtag for a long time before it became anything, before my logo, it was just a belief. And I
yes,
had taken that because Kimura, when Kimura started Baby Fat, right?
mm-hmm.
All you would see is these little baby fat drawstring bags in a t-shirt that said Baby Fat. Nobody knew that it was getting ready to be a multi-million-dollar company, you know?
Wow,
So that's how you do. You kind of like lightweight tease them,
yeah,
and then you please them.
oh yeah, most definitely. I know that to be true because that's actually how Blesco started. It started as a hashtag. Then I built on
Yeah,
that hashtag because it
yeah,
became an acronym.
yeah.
Bible lifts everyone's spirit, so everyone decides kingdom overrules all standing temptations, and then boom, LLC, and then boom, expansion. So I know what you're saying is definitely a formula for success. That consistency and commitment, most definitely.
Here's another network. Here's a
Mm-hmm.
network. I want you to go on Instagram to
Mm-hmm.
Dion Simmons,
Deion
right?
Simmons, yes, sir.
DION, Dion Simmons, my nephew, he just moved to Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a McDonald's Gospel Fest winner a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
He's into like praising the Lord. When I tell you that he's like multi-dimensional as a singer, dancer, actor,
Yes, sir.
but he'll turn the church out.
Yes, sir.
So we're looking for a place for him to go and do his thing down there, just so you know. All
Oh
right.
yeah, I got you. I got you because
He lives in Riverdale.
he right down the street from me.
See,
He right.
won't he do it? Won't he
Yes,
do
he
it?
will. Yes, he will. And see, just like you, and this. Oh man, I look. We got to end the show. I know we do, but I got to say this before we go. I remember when I first talked to you on the phone, and you basically like the gems that you dropped, even in that short phone conversation right there. It really had inspired me because, like, literally, majority of your story that you have told me, like, literally, that was like me. Like, for instance, being surrounded by those influences, you're like, man, I didn't know that I was gonna be here on radio or having a series on Amazon Prime and things of that nature. I was a basketball player. I loved hanging out with my friends, and then I kept cultivating those gifts until it finally hit me. This is what I need to be doing. So I was like, Lord, bless me to be a blessing to others. So I utilize these platforms to make sure everybody gets the love that they deserve, as well as the recognition that they deserve. And I thank you so much. And I always say this, like, when I come into contact with individuals such as yourself, I don't take it lightly. And therefore, I see this interview as basically an introduction to a potential working relationship. Because I say that to say this, you
Yeah.
will be hearing from
There's
me
a reason.
soon.
There's a reason, but I just want to say that, and I have to say this as I'm listening to you.
Uh-huh.
On December 14th, 2005,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I really, really, really realized how serious it is out here,
Mm-hmm.
and that you have to make the best out of today,
Yes.
because you really don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to make sure that you live right, because it was 12 degrees, wind blowing. I'm just giving a guy a ride, not knowing that he was being set up based off of a MySpace conversation he was having. And next thing I know, I have four masked men. One didn't have on a mask. I guess he was too tough. They carjacked me.
Wow.
Beat me to almost death. And I'm here to talk about it. I'm here to let you know that it's real out here. And in a split second, without my Lord and Savior, I was a goner. So when I look at Blessed Coast,
yes, sir.
right on, right on.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for that. And for everybody who's tuning in and who will be tuning in at a later date, thank you so much for your support of the Be the Change podcast. This is the homie, the one and only Ashton Reynolds. This concludes episode 1, the first episode of season 2. And you know, I had to bring it to you in a major way with the creator, the innovator, the pioneer, the visionary, the determined, the inspiration, the inspirator, the loving leader himself, Bob Sumner. One more thing. When can we expect the birth or death?
See, that's I felt you was coming there. We are still working on it. The pandemic definitely slowed us up, and we have some jewels. It'll be shortly. But again, with a documentary, you want to make sure that you have everything covered.
Exactly.
So it'll be here. We was looking for 21. We was looking for 21, but I would safely say sometime 22, we should be ready to rock, you know.
Most definitely. And you know, I'm gonna have you back. So as soon as the date get closer, I'll be like, hey, Mr. Sumner. Come on back.
I mean, I plan on seeing you before that. You know,
most definitely.
I have a you know, I have what as overseer says, I have a plethora of things to do. You know what I mean, to do. So yeah, that's what's happening.
Most definitely. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Mr. Sumner. And to everybody who's tuning in, you know, I'll see y'all the next time. So with that said, it's the homie. We out of here.